What's
There you
going
go. You
on?
can hear me now, right?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What's up?
What's up, Ethan? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm off from my vacation, so I'm doing good.
All
Back
right,
to the
cool.
grind.
Cool. Back to the grind or on your vacation?
No, back to the grind.
Back to the grind. Okay, that's what I thought you said.
Yeah.
Well, first off, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself to the Killstream audience?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Duty Streams, essentially a DSP detractor, and that's really about it. There's not more to say.
Really, that is, you know what? I'd have to agree. I mean, really, there is nothing more to say. Although, well, I have a few things to say now.
I know,
So
sir. I know.
you, I never really had a problem with you. I think we interacted a few times on Twitter. I had an arc with DSP where I was talking shit back and forth with him a few months ago. It's not a big deal to
Yeah,
me,
yeah, I
but
remember that.
because it's kind of a
Yep.
casino back thing, right? Like I didn't take it seriously. I talked about a fuck DSP festival, but honestly, and my mic, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Oh, if it gets too loud, let me know. But
You're good on my end, bro.
okay, but I my heart wasn't in something like that anyway, because I really and this is not like a oh, I see what's going on here. The game was turned up. Okay. Now it should be fine. But heart wasn't in it because I kind of knew what was going on anyway. It's kind of being set up to go against me for content for the casino. And then I don't really know the DSP lore. This is not to insult him either. I just haven't really followed all the supposed controversies and all this stuff, and it would have taken a lot of research and all this, and so I just didn't feel
Yeah,
like
it's
I
not
didn't feel like it was.
it's not for everyone. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not for everyone. Real
it,
still can be extremely boring. And I know I get a lot of I don't know how you can watch so much of his content. You must drive yourself insane. But there's a lot of gold dust in there, and we go in and we dig that gold dust and provide it in a kind of make it palatable for people. So
well, so my thing is, I mean, I don't really understand. First off, let me explain. So I was doing the show with DSP. We did the show. I thought it went well. I think he even said that in a video he posted today. He thought it went well, and we'll see how it goes later on if it continues or whatever. But did get tired towards the end. That's true. Had a wild weekend as well. That's also true. But I thought the show itself went well. Now you messaged me, and I take
yep.
pretty much all DMs, right? If somebody's like, hey, here, DM me. So, and you were like, well, here's a few tips. You mentioned somebody in chat that everybody likes that goes to wrestling. You mentioned a few, not even negative things about Phil, just,
No,
you've observed him for a while. So, of course, I didn't say anything that I wouldn't say in public because I assumed,
no, of course
that
not.
something
No.
like what ended up happening would happen. So I didn't say anything that I regret or anything like that. But I was like, well, hey, here's a guy who knows DSP, right? All right, I'll listen. I've never worked with him before. And so we had a back and forth. Actually, the only tip of yours that I used officially was that guy in the chat. What's his name? Lev.
Jaden, and
Yeah,
you also praised
Jay.
Bill. You
Yes, yes.
praised
I forget. I'm not
Bill.
trying to insult him. I just forgot the name for a sec.
Yeah, his
Um,
name's Jade. But no, you
yeah.
also took the I did provide advice. You said, hey, Bill definitely enjoys getting his ego stroke. If you can mention the his content creation, all of his years of service, he loves that. And I think you
Well,
did mention that. You sprinkled that a little
Well,
bit
I
here and there.
mentioned that, but it wasn't from you really. I mentioned that
Okay.
because I think, and you also said, well, he trashed the detractors, which I did do that, but I had always planned on doing that because I think it's just kind of weird in the first place. I guess back when Phil, considered, we talked about this, me and him some, when he considered himself the king of hate or whatever, and he was doing all this and that. All right, maybe that makes sense. I don't really understand the whole hate DSP industry. I understand the hate Ralph industry very well, but I don't really. I guess I just don't really get it. I mean, maybe people don't believe him that he's trying to do positive streams, but and I don't watch him all the time. I don't get to watch many people, that often at
Yeah.
all because I stream a lot. But,
Before we get into that, I know that me and you already talked. Can I just say outright, yeah, I wanted to first of all apologize. because I did share a screenshot of our conversation,
Hold
and
on.
at the time when I
Anonymous
did it,
sent
I didn't think it
$5
was
tequila sunrise
inappropriate.
vibes.
But after having a
Love the early
conversation with you and
start
seeing how you
time.
felt about it, I said, all right, maybe that's something I shouldn't have done.
Well,
So
what
first of all, I wanted to come here and apologize, just like I did in DMs in our phone
you
conversation.
did apologize, and I don't think there are places for sharing DMs. I try to make that a thing that I do sparingly, only if it's like provable that somebody's lying about you or something like that, right? And it's like, well, here's the
Yeah.
DMs. This guy's lying about me. Boom, boom, boom. And you shared it, and I watched your show, and you were talking about, well, Ralph's uncontrolled. You acted like you knew a lot more about me than you did when we first talked. Let's put it that way. And Ralph's uncontrollable, and here's all the tips I gave him, and I'm the mastermind. Now, I don't know, you were possibly joking about some of that stuff, the mastermind and all this, because the show was gonna happen regardless. Like that was something that
No,
I
that
masterminded
wasn't
actually.
no,
But
no.
but
That
but
wasn't my intent, To be honest, the reason why I wanted to give you some advice and wanted you to actually get this spot was because I thought you would be the most interesting. Now, we talked about this, and I told you, I said, look, I thought the show was boring. Not because you were boring. It was about wrestling. And I
yes,
thought it was going to be a little bit more than wrestling. I thought it was going to kind of be what him and PPP had, where he came on. Yes, you talked about wrestling for a good portion of the deal, but then, you guys probably going to get into the conversation about his detractors, your detractors, and have some back and back. That's what I thought was going to occur. When you started getting like, I'll give you one example. 1.1 there. When you started talking about the women, you weren't saying anything gross or whatever. You were just talking about how beautiful certain women are,
sure.
and he cut you off. And I thought that was perfectly fine because we all can agree wrestling a big component of wrestling is sexuality, sexualizing women. That's always been a thing for wrestling. So I thought it was appropriate. And then he cut you off because for whatever reason, whether
Well,
he's
my
asexual,
conversation
whether
went
he's
into a
gay,
little Sternish territory. You might say 90s Stern territory. And I think he even
Okay.
said it on his video, and we'll watch it later, that he felt like, well, maybe it went a little too far to one direction, but also that it also kind of meshed because it was more like the old Phil, sexualizing women. And here's me here bringing back a little bit of that old flavor. So, yeah, I mean, I sexualize women on a daily basis as they should be. Now, perhaps I took it a little too far, but I don't think I went way over the line with anything I was saying there.
I don't
The
think
ass
so either. But I
straps, and
mean,
I might have mentioned a certain other thing about asses and stuff like that. But I also think that Phil, I've been married, and I won't go into current marital status or not, but I've been married. Let's just put it that way. And I think some people, I never changed my style, whether I was married or maybe still am. Who knows? Whatever. I never changed my style as far as sexualizing women. And I wasn't like, oh, I'm married now. I can't talk about how hot this chick is, or I want to bang her, or whatever. Now, I think some people feel that that's disrespectful not to change your style. Phil's married. That's my understanding, right? I don't. Yeah. So I think maybe, and I don't speak for him, obviously, but I think maybe some of that's like, oh, okay, like I don't, my wife might see this, and Rob's getting a little frisky here, talking about some of the females, and I think that maybe that was some of it, but I also think he said it in his video. It kind of did mesh well to a certain extent, maybe bring it down a notch. I don't even disagree with that take, really, but we're two different personalities, and one of my personalities or traits is to be the shock jock who sexualizes women, and I mean that's what they're there for, except for the lovely Lily Gaddis, who's a political commentator. But I mean, she's pretty, let's be real. And so I don't sexualize her because she's a guest on the show. So I have different rules for female guests on the show, right? Like she's treated with respect because even though I don't think it's disrespectful to sexualize women, I don't go, hey, smash her past Lily, da, 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 da. She's a respected member of the Killstream cast here, so I don't do that. I guess I have a different rule for women who appear on the show, if you will, if that
no,
makes
I
sense.
understand. No,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
You afford her that respect because she's the colleague. Yeah, I understand that.
Right. She's a guest on the show, and so that's why I do that. But yeah, I mean, he did cut me off, but I don't necessarily blame him. I was getting a little it was getting a little ribald, to use a certain word there. But I thought the show itself went great, but it was always going to be a wrestling show. I think people had this in their mind that I was going to grill Phil or go in on that or do all this. And that was never my intention. My intention was to do a wrestling show. If you looked at the numbers, and he did, of course, the view botting and all that stuff doesn't get counted anyway. They automatically just knock that off. It was the highest. Now, part of it was because of our first collab. He said the same thing, but it was the highest rated episode of his show since it's come back. Smart guys. So I think I don't really care about the grill Phil stuff. I don't have anything to grill him about, right? So I wasn't there to do that. I was there to genuinely talk about wrestling, some of my knowledge. I dropped a couple old school wrestling stories and references for the old heads who may know some of those references, etc. But I was always there to talk wrestling. Now, except for the first 30 minutes, of course, I'm gonna get my shots in on the 800-pounder who can't walk further than 20 feet,
And
you know.
that was the best part of the show. Honestly, just from my perspective, that was the best part of the show. I think you guys can interlace the two. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. That was my view. That was my opinion. Now, I know the show was successful. You guys had a lot of views. Phil made some money. That's all good. That's all good and dandy. But I guess when you hear me criticize the show, I hope you understand that I'm criticizing it from a detractor point of view. Like I really thought you guys were gonna I knew you were gonna talk about wrestling because it is a wrestling show. But I did think you guys were gonna interlace a little bit of drama. And when I didn't see it and I saw 3.5 hours of just wrestling, that's where I'm kind of like, all right, well,
Well, I mean, I
first 30
came there
minutes
to
was
talk
good, and then
wrestling.
it
I, I,
got
ke-
off.
I kept trying to tell people that,
But
and they're like, "What's your
but
secret
even
plan,
but
Ralph?" And I'm like, "There is
yeah,
none.
exactly.
There is
Who
none."
believed that? No one
Nobody,
believed that.
almost nobody believed me, and
Exactly.
I'm like, "There was no
Exactly.
secret
Neither
plan.
did
I
I.
came to talk wrestling, dude. Like that's literally why."
Neither did I. Neither did I. And that's why I had the view I had. Like I wasn't shitting on you or I wasn't shitting on Phil about the show. It's just I had an expectation. It didn't come to fruition. I guess my fault or whatever, but I think the vast majority of the internet felt the same way I felt. You were gonna go in there, yes, you were gonna talk about wrestling, but you were gonna do what's it called, the Ralph Mail. You were gonna kind of go in on Phil a little bit, pull back because yes, it is YouTube, but we were gonna get some of that.
But why
And
would I go in on Phil? By the way, I see this Otuwu, whoever the fuck in chat says
yeah,
Ralph
yeah,
is
we'll see it.
monologuing again. I'm the host of the show, and so that means I can monologue at any point. I don't know if you guys understand that or not. That's how the host
And I'm a
works.
guest, and I'm a
Right,
guest.
right.
So
Now I like to let the guests speak, but to be clear, I can go off on monologues at any time because it's my
no,
program,
I'm
right?
happy to speak. I'm
No, I
happy to
know, but
speak
I'm
because I
just
know
addressing
people are
this
like,
this
oh yeah.
dumbass in the audience who thinks that's a flaw. Well, yeah, I'll monologue anytime I damn well please. But I don't know why. Why did you think I would go at Phil?
Because of who you are. You're Ethan Ralph. You have internet beefs with many people, you know what I
True,
mean?
but
And
not with
it's not
him.
that I'm not no, I'm not saying that you were gonna go after him, like attack him. No, 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 no. What I was gonna say were you were gonna want to understand the lore a little bit. I assume you knew some of the lore, like some of the big stuff that kind of occurred in the background, or even maybe talk about what happened with PPP and him. You heard that, right? You saw that. You saw that drama where Phil leaked the DMs, and I don't know if you had a chance to read the DMs, but I thought we were gonna get a
I
little
read
bit of
most
that.
of them, yeah. And I see Nady
So,
Bakes, and
so
he's right. Like, I'm a wrestling fan at all times, and he says Ralph even holds back on wrestling talk on the Killstream. Now, we talk about it some, but not as much because I understand people are here for politics. They're here for the drama. They're here for, whatever I want to talk about that day, right? News, etc.,
yep, yep.
interviews, right? So I hold back on that on this show. So I think some people from the Killstream audience were actually interested to hear a long form discussion from me about wrestling, which I don't really do hardly ever on this show because I know it turns some people off because some people are not here for the wrestling, right? There's a certain segment that love it, but a lot don't. So I think that was part of the appeal. I thought Phil and I clicked pretty well. the last 30 minutes, I was getting pretty sleepy. There's no doubt about that. And he admitted that. And we talked about it
Can
after.
I
And I'm like,
can
look,
I
man.
ask what happened there? Can I ask what happened there? I mean, if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. I understand
Well,
that. I'm
I
just curious
was
'cause I
tired.
did
I
notice.
mean, that was the basic point of it. I'd been streaming. Well, I started streaming at 5. Now, usually I stream, 10, 8, 10 hours at a time. Not that big a deal, but I had to go around Merida that day as well. And then I also did, let's see, about 5 hours before our show, and then another 3 hours. So I'd had like a 14, 15 hour day. Now I know everybody wants to say, I'm fucked up or whatever. I don't really care about that. I mean, I care about not being fucked up. I think you can tell that I'm not fucked up right now. But
Oh, good to hear.
but yeah, we talked about that. I didn't hear Phil accuse me of any malfeasance or anything like that. I think he seemed pretty happy with the show, and if it continues, great. If not, that's cool too. I will say you were one of the guys. You're like, hey, you ought to get a piece of the money from this show. And I don't know if people understand. Now, if we did a full time, week to week show, yeah, I would expect a cut of the money. Now, but that's not really what that was, right? That was a tryout, like you said. That's what it was. I didn't mind him keeping the money. I knew he would make a pretty good amount of money that day because it was the collab people wanted to see. I wasn't really worried about the money at all, and you and a couple other people had brought it up, and then I mentioned it, and he's just like, and I'll tell you flat out what he told me. He said, "Look, this is tryouts. I haven't offered or anybody asked for any money off these, and I don't even know for sure if I'm going to do the show after. And if that's a problem for you, I can go ahead and reshuffle and get the guy in from the week after, and it's no big deal. I'm not going to badmouth you, not going to trash you." And, I thought that was a fair response. I had every opportunity to turn it down. I'd already made my money off my show that day. So it's like, it was more about exposing myself to another audience, doing a big collab that I think a lot of people wanted to see, and talk wrestling, really. So it wasn't about the money for me. Now, going forward, if we end up being partners or whatever, yeah, I'm sure there'll be some kind of split. But I don't work for free forever. I mean, it was kind of a one-off type deal or whatever. But I don't think that there was any malfeasance, and I see a lot of the detractors. I'm like, well, Ralph should have got
No,
half
I
the
don't.
money.
I didn't say that.
No,
I
you
didn't
didn't
say
say
that
that,
at
but
all.
some people
I
did,
said,
and then they're like, "Well, Ralph should have at least got the Keebler card." You guys know I was joking about the key. At least I hope that was clear. That I was joking about the key. It would cost more money to
well,
send the card to Mexico than the card is worth, most likely. So,
well,
um,
it's not about you, but when you hear stuff like that, they're kind of slamming Phil because Phil
well,
used
I
to bitch and
understand.
complain about doing giveaways, and used to claim that it cost $100 to ship a fucking case, a video game case, to Europe. So that's what it is. They're mocking Phil, not you. The only reason why I didn't say shit about the money as it relates to Phil scamming you. I didn't say that at all. What I did say was, for myself as a working practice, like if I have a guest on and no money was talked about, right? If I did very well, I would reach out to them just for myself. I'd reach out and say, "Hey, let me give you something because I appreciate you being out." And I figure, okay, this is a good way to cultivate a relationship. Be like, all right, you got my back. You hooked me up. I want to give you a little bit of cash just as a simple thank you. That way, the next time I need someone to come on again, you're more than likely to be more receptive because, there's like a give and take going on in that relationship. That was the only thing I said. And knowing Phil and his past issues with people, content creators, and shit like that, Project 7, and a couple other issues that go on with Phil, I figured he probably didn't even make the offer. He wouldn't even offer it. So that was my criticism, not on you, not on the deal. It's just like if it was me personally and I made over $400, I'd be reaching out to the person that was there and say, "Hey, here's a little something. I appreciate you.
But see,
I
we
appreciate you
discussed it
helping me
like
out."
men beforehand, and I had every opportunity to say no. Right, and it wasn't all about. First off, it was about the collab, about talking wrestling. It was also about big platform here on YouTube. I knew a lot of people would be watching. No, I'm not actually banned from YouTube. He repeated that lie, which is not the case. I'm technically banned from owning a channel, although they've pretty much relaxed most of those rules anyway. And you said you had to do something heinous to get banned off YouTube, which is actually not the case. I raised $27,000 for St. Jude and somebody made a Holocaust joke in a super chat, and the Wall Street Journal wrote a front page story about it in 2018. That's how I got banned off YouTube. The national news media took me down
Are
off
you?
YouTube. So I mean, if you
Is your
consider that heinous, I don't know, but
Ethan,
it doesn't really, especially back
I
then,
hope
it didn't take much to get banned from YouTube.
Ethan, I hope you understand that when I'm on a podcast and I'm talking about things, right? I got to make it a little bit interesting. I got to bring up stuff. I got to exaggerate some things here and there. And
Well, when
if
I
I
hear the
say
word
that,
heinous, I'm like, okay, well,
oh,
it
well, I
wasn't
mean,
actually heinous. Actually, it was heinous what was done to the cancer kids since they refunded that $27,000. And yeah, the show was a little wild, no doubt, but I mean, it was for a good cause. And
yeah,
I don't know, the whole thing rose me the wrong way to this day. And so, yeah, that was definitely something that I took note of. That you said that, right?
and
And
to be honest, I think we've talked about this. I don't know that much of your background. I know who you are. I've heard about the sector and stuff like that. I don't follow you. I don't follow your past, so I don't know much about you. So, a lot of what I'm hearing is just secondhand stuff that I hear from other shows or whatever. So, I'll clearly admit that. And I think I told you that when we had a conversation. I said, "Yeah, I know about you and stuff like that." And I think when we initially started talking, I said, "Hey man, I got no beef with you. I'm here to just offer you some advice about Phil because I genuinely wanted you to be the host because I thought you would probably make it more interesting." That was me. Like I'm looking at this
well, I
strictly from
took
a
advice,
content.
almost against my own instinct because it's like, well, I'm talking to a anti-Phil guy, but it's also like, well, I'll talk to anybody, and if he has some insight that might help me in my broadcast, appearance with Phil, all right, I'll listen. And there were a couple things there that I think did. Now, a few of the other things were always going to happen, like I said, shitting on PPP and
I
stuff
know,
like that,
but
right?
there was
Like
no
that.
ill intent. That's what I want you to
Yeah, I
understand.
mean,
There was
we
no ill intent with
the only
reaching
old
out
thing
to you.
was the screenshot, and it was like, well, I
Which
masterminded this, and I puppet mastered Ralph, and that doesn't really happen. I don't know that that's ever happened, but it doesn't happen very often if it does. So yeah, I just happened to be watching your show when I saw that, which is funny because I probably wouldn't have seen it otherwise. I was like, let me turn this on, see what, because I knew you'd be talking about me and him, right? So I was like, oh, let me
Yep.
see. And then, you're showing DMs and like you didn't go through everything. Not that I
No,
care. You can put them all out if you want. There's
no,
nothing in there
I
that's
don't. I
bad.
don't.
But
So
um,
can I clear that up real quick? So I think the segment you're talking about is I was answering a question about the money. And somebody was asking me a question about the money. I said, "Oh, he didn't get anything." And he didn't get anything. And this was after the podcast and after Phil talked about it, right? And I pulled up the DM that we had where you had mentioned, "No, there's no money." And that was kind of it. Now I left it up. I should have taken it down. So I was kind of answering the question, kind of showing someone. In hindsight, now I understand how you feel, and I
but I
apologize
told
for that.
people
I fucked
already
up. I
publicly
shouldn't
that
have.
I wasn't gonna cut off that,
Exactly. So I
right?
didn't.
Like
That's
so.
why.
But
That's why
still,
I
it's
didn't think
just
it
the
was a
showing of the
big.
DM. It's like, all right,
Well, that's why I didn't think it was a big deal. Like I
yeah.
didn't think like it was like, oh, I was sharing DMs, I was showing our because we did have some conversations in there where you told me a couple things, I told you a couple things, not anything major or whatever, but
No.
I wasn't gonna. And the other thing too is I hear, oh, Doody leaked all that. I didn't leak shit. Nobody got any of the DMs. The only thing you would see is a screenshot. And then after we talked, and I apologized to you, and I said, my bad, I fucked up. Let me rectify it. I took it down. I edited out the video. I took it down because I just didn't want to make it available. I took down the stream completely. I edited the clip. I just took down the stream completely because I was just like, all right, I just don't want any drama. I fucked up. I apologize to Ethan. So
Yeah, and you
that's it.
did.
So
You
yep,
did.
yep. I did. When I
To be
fuck up,
honest, like I'm not. Yeah.
when I fuck up, I'm more than happy to apologize. Like when I realized I fucked up and I'm more than happy to apologize. I'm not one of those people that are prideful that feel like, oh, I'm gonna get my rep. Fuck all that nonsense. If I fuck up and I screw you and I screw you over, whether by accident or on purpose, and you call me out for it, and I realize, oh yeah, you know what, I did fuck up. I'm gonna apologize. It's perfectly fine. Like I don't care. Like my pride isn't hurt. I don't feel like people are gonna call me a bitch or I'm kneeling to you or whatever. No, I did something wrong. I fucked up, and I'm gonna apologize.
Yeah, and
And
again,
it
the
goes
DM
pretty much
thing,
for anybody.
we
It
can
goes. I mean,
leave that,
I
right?
fucked up one time with Phil. I fucked up one time with Phil. I said something that was wrong, and he came at me. He came at me wrong. No. I remember what it was. No. I remember what it was. he was doing some bullshit about he was scamming his viewers out of a food thing,
Allegedly, I
right?
don't know you're speaking for
Allegedly,
yourself.
okay,
I don't know.
allegedly,
Yeah, I don't know
he
anything
was
about that.
allegedly he was scamming them out of a reward thing, right? Where he was supposed to do one thing and whatever, right? So he was blaming everything under the sun because of course nothing is ever his fault. So I did a stream where I pulled up DoorDash and I used his address, which his address is public. His address is public. It's out
Mine's
there.
not,
Everyone
by the
knows it.
way. But yes, go
No,
ahead.
I would. So I pulled up the DoorDash using his specific information, and it showed that he lied. Allegedly, there you go, that he lied, right? And I made a video about it, and I was like, yeah, you know, this guy, whatever. And he called me out for using his address, and I said to myself, well, that's all public information. It's out there. Everyone knows it. But after thinking about it, I apologized and I took it down. I said, "Oh, I apologize. I shouldn't have used your address, even though it's public. I still shouldn't use it because it's not cool." So I took down the video and I issued an apology. And that's Phil. I could have told Phil to go fuck off, but I did that because I said, "All right, I did
Well, I do
something
think
wrong."
that's wrong, even if it is public. Especially, I don't know if you ordered something to his house or whatever. Obviously, that's. I
No,
mean,
no, 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 no.
yeah,
I don't do it.
yeah.
I don't do any of that shit.
Okay,
I
all
don't
right.
dox people. I don't fuck with people's real lives. I don't do any of that shit. I watch film and I watch
Well,
film
I
and
do
I make
some of
fun.
that shit. I'm not gonna lie to you, but only if, like I said, a man's got to have a code, right? And only if
There
it
you go.
rises to that level. But I don't disavow doxing or, I disavow criminality. Let's put it that way. I disavow swatting. I think that's attempted murder. I've been swatted 12 times myself. So there are
Well,
some
I
lines I
don't
won't
agree. I
cross.
don't agree. Yeah, I don't agree with swatting at all
Yeah.
because not only are you fucking with that person, what if they have
Or other
kids?
people
What
in the
if
house,
yeah,
dogs, animals. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean that is one line that I won't cross. But as far as doxing itself, you know, is doxing good? Nah, I don't think so. But I also think that it's almost just a part of the game. It's kind of how the sausage is made. And if you're not willing to strike back at people who'll strike back, like for the past week, they thought they had me doxed in Mexico with 3 different addresses. Spoiler alert, they do not. And I shouldn't even say that, by the way. The standard operating procedure is to say, hey, yo, you must have me, or just don't acknowledge it. But I'm telling you right now, and I'll take off my sunglasses, you do not know where I live in Mexico, guaranteed. And if you can find me, come and find me. And that's me looking you dead in the fucking camera, all you cocksuckers who wish me dead this weekend. Any one of you cocksuckers who thinks you can come to Mexico and find me, and that includes anybody in my past personal life, anybody who thinks they can come bring me some documents, bring it, because you have no idea where I am, and none of those addresses were correct. But anyway, and I just wanted to take my glasses off just to show you right there. You didn't see it, but they did. Now let me ask you this: how long have you been doing this to Phil? I mean, I hate to put it like that, but like,
I've been interacting. 3 years, I think. 3 years. I mean, I've been following him for a long time, but I used to I used to do Wings of Redemption. Then he got super fucking dead and boring, and then I
well, that
started doing
changed real
Phil.
quick. I don't know if you saw last
I
week,
did.
but
I did.
poor Wings, he called me a woman abuser, and then he beat his wife live on camera. So I don't know what to say. It's tough. It's hard out there for a gorilla pimp, I guess. But poor Wings. I really feel bad for him. I don't know. I'm sure he'll make it. He's got at least 2 or 3 years worth of fat stored up. I don't even know if he'll have to eat for a long time. Water. He'll still need water though. Somebody will get him a nice trough, something like that to drink out of. But poor Wings, poor Wings. But what is
Yeah,
like?
he needs to be excommunicated. Honestly, I mean, he put his hands on his wife, and that's not the first time that there've been, kind
Well,
of alleged
also
abuse
like
going on there.
it's a little more brutal than it looks at first blush. That being said, proven a court of law. I've had a lot of people say, him included, he called me a woman abuser based off of a misleading and edited recording that wasn't video, by the way. It was audio, and so I again legally restricted from fully addressing that, although that won't always be the case. But he called me a woman abuser based off of that, and then he goes and slaps his wife up live on stream. So again, I don't have too much sympathy for Wings. Let's just say that. But the whole thing with Phil, I really don't understand the hate. Like, I mean, do people do they just not believe him, or this guy?
They
And
don't
again,
believe
this
him.
is
But you
allegedly,
got a
but like his bank
you got a
accounts have been
couple.
hacked into. These are federal crimes they've committed against this
Oh
guy.
God,
This is
yeah.
not. And then people say, "Well, we're going to use the information, but we didn't actually do it." And da da da. That's fruit of the poisonous tree. That's just a bogus like, oh well, somebody else did it, but of course we're going to comb through all of his records and have this weirdo freak cross-eyed Cambion looking out, to fucking wherever the fuck he's looking out of the one eye, comb over his records and all this stuff. Alleged records. I don't know if they're real or not. But how can you justify that sort of treatment over a guy who streams video games and wrestling sometimes?
Well, you're referring to the bank leaks. That happened, I think, that was what 2001, 2021 when that occurred.
Somewhere
That was
around
the bank.
there. It was 2, 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
that
Yeah.
was someone on Kiwi Farms who ended up and
Kiwi
social
Farms.
engineering.
Yes.
Yeah, he social engineered Phil's social
And by the
security
way,
number.
Josh Moon
Go ahead.
denounced it, but he left it all up.
Yeah, I mean that's what most people do. Yeah, they're
Well,
out
I
there. They're
mean,
available.
Josh Moon should be in prison for facilitating a federal crime, in my opinion. And the whole, what is it, Section 238, gives him supposed immunity for something like that. But you're still supposed to remove that type of content. He hosts revenge porn. He hosts all kinds of other stuff, like you said,
Yeah, he's
social
a
security
publisher,
numbers.
right?
Now he thinks this gives him, carte blanche to do whatever. I personally disagree. I have a feeling when he becomes, I got a call right now. They don't think I'm on the air. I have a feeling once he outweighs his usefulness to the federal government, that'll probably change. But how do you justify that though against
I
a
don't
guy
justify
who?
it. I don't justify it.
But I mean, okay, you don't
if you commit a
justify
criminal
the
act
hack.
against
No,
Bill,
wait, okay, don't justify
yeah.
the hack, but like just the overall treatment of this guy, and let's
Well,
attack
I
his
can only speak for
wife, and
myself.
let's do all this, and
I
like
can only, dude, I can only speak for myself, right? I can
that's
only
true.
speak for myself. I clown him. I make fun of him. Yes, occasionally I will bring up his wife and talk about how big his wife is. That's because he includes his wife in his content. If she wasn't part of his content, to me, I would feel like she wasn't fair game. But she's part of his content, especially when he streams and he begs his viewers for money so that he can feed her. And that's happened. And that's on stream. That's not me making that shit up. He does that shit on a weekly basis. Okay. So if he makes you part of a content, I honestly believe he's fair game. Now, do I believe that it's fair game to fuck with him in real life? No, I don't fuck with him in real life. I don't dox him. I don't fuck with his wife. I don't fuck with his home. I don't send shit to his house. I don't do any of that shit. I watch his videos and I laugh at the fucking lolcow. That's what I do. Personally, myself, that's what I do. I don't do anything else to him. I don't, So I can speak for myself. Now, I think there is a small segment of the community that hate this motherfucker and want to see him dead, destitute, what have you. There is, and that's every community. I'm pretty sure your community, you have a section of people that want that for you. And then you
I
have the
mean, yeah,
normies
when
that
I put
kind
up
of
that
just watch
tweet, yeah,
it.
there's people who want me dead flat out. Yeah, I mean, I saw about 200 or 300 of them over the weekend. Yeah, I actually,
Yeah.
I like seeing things like that. So I put out that tweet, went to sleep and woke up to people, like some people worried, they love me, care about me. And then a lot of people who actually were hoping that they would wake up to the news that I was dead. Now I see that and that recharges me. That actually makes me feel good because to engender that type of feeling in someone, love or hate, preferably both, is exhilarating to me. I love it that so many people want me dead. That actually makes me happy. Now it.
But would you say that that portion of the community speaks for the vast majority of the community?
I would say they're a lot more sizable than they let on. Yeah. Now, I would say most people probably just check in here and there and see what's funny to laugh at or whatever. But I would say it's a good chunk. I mean, you can go look at the replies underneath my tweets or underneath my tweet about, it's been fun. And you can see reply after reply and quote after quote about people literally wishing me dead. Now, there were a lot of well-wishers too, and a lot of friends contacted me. I don't want to make it like it was, a sob story. But, yeah, people literally want to see me dead, and I want to see them dead too, to be quite frank. So I think that's just a natural reaction. And so when I say, I got the king of hate, I will take the crown because people who want to see me dead, I want to see them dead. And I've never... People want to see me doxxed. I want to see them doxxed. People want to see me lose my income. I want to see them lose their income and be homeless. So that's how I operate. Now, Phil seems to be, and this is not a criticism of him. He seems to be a lot more chill about that sort of thing than I am. I don't know. Maybe you disagree, but
Because the vast majority of the people that detract on Phil aren't wishing him death or wishing him harm. Most people that watch
okay. But what's
and
the
are
okay?
part of the
Okay.
community
So you
and
wish
part of the
somebody
community, all they
harm?
want to do is just laugh.
Okay.
All they
Okay.
want
Now
to do
look.
is laugh at the fucking lolcow.
Listen to what
They
you
want to
said.
milk his
First off,
teeth. They
what
want
is
to
a
milk his teeth for
lolcow? I could
content.
call
That's
you a
it.
lolcow
It
right
was a
now.
lolcow.
I mean, you
It
know,
was a
what is a
lolcow.
lolcow? Josh Moon, the guy who wrote a fucking manifesto about killing his mom, decides who's a lolcow? Is that who gets to decide who's a lolcow? The guy who advocated
No,
Shotokan at
everyone has
19
their
years
own
old?
preference. Everyone can label whoever they want as a lolcow. There are no
Well, no,
fashion
but
rules
he's the
about who a
impresario, though,
lolcow
right?
is.
He's the guy who really gets to decide, right? Kiwi Farms, right? Who decides
Oh,
who's a
I don't
lolcow
know
and
Kiwi Farms.
who is on the board to be fucked with and who's not? Now, to me, everybody's on the board, and if you come at me, you're definitely on the board. But there's
All
this
right.
whole category of people that, oh, well, they're lolcows, and we can just fuck with their life, and we can try to ruin them, and oh, I don't wish them death, I just wish them harm. Do you understand what like a
I do,
slightly
and I'm
crazed
not one of
statement
those
that
people.
is, right? Like, okay, go ahead.
No, I agree. I agree. I'm not one of those people. I do not wish him physical harm or whatever. I simply just post videos, I make content, and I laugh at the locale. Nothing more. That's all I do. And you can go through my content because my content is full of, and I know it's a lot of fucking content. But most of it is just fucking mocking and making fun of fucking Phil. His mannerisms, the bullshit that he does, his fucking scams, the way he treats his viewers, his continuously begging,
What
all
is
of that is
begging?
what I make fun of. What is begging? Asking your viewers 100 times in one fucking day that you need money. Telling your viewers that if you don't hit your goal, you're gonna have to eat ham sandwiches, right? This is saying,
Well, I ate ham even when I
hey
hit
guys,
my goal.
I need to hit this goal. I need to hit this goal because my wife wants to eat Chick-fil-A tonight. You know what I mean? It's just shit like that.
Yeah, but like, does
And
he
guilt
make these
tripping the
people give
viewers.
him money though?
No, these fucking people give him the money, which is perfectly. You never hear me complain about people giving Phil money. I understand. Look, I understand that he's a content creator and that he's making a living off of that, and I don't begrudge that. I never begrudge Phil making any fucking money streaming, or whatever. I don't begrudge anyone making money off of it. What I don't like is him being disingenuous, the begging, treating his viewers like bullshit, like crap, lying to people. That's what I don't like. And that's most of the shit that I would criticize on Phil. And that would be the extent of it. I'm not saying I'm not going around telling people he's a pedo. I'm not going around telling people that he beat his wife. I'm not saying any of that shit. I'm basically saying that he's a fucking alien regarded individual and he's fun to watch and fun to make fun of. That's the extent of it. Now, I could just speak for myself. I know people love to lump detractors into the same. I don't represent anybody but myself. You got about 1,000 different content creators, DSC, all of them are different. All of them can speak for themselves. I don't speak for any of them. I don't, I speak for me. Doody streams. I'm the only person that I can speak about.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, look at my content, go through whatever the fuck you want to look at, and you will see that I've never fucking wished this guy died. I never wished his wife would die. I would never say any of that. I don't begrudge him for making fucking money. I don't do any of that shit.
But he puts
I
out
simply
content,
watch his
so
content and
they
laugh
call
at
him
the motherfucker.
you call him
Yeah,
a beggar. You call him a
it's a beggar.
beggar. Now I have a goal on my screen right now: powerchat.live
Yeah.
/ the Raw for Tort Rumble Rants,
Yep.
$sign Sunset Squad on Cash App. Now I try not to over promote it, but it's definitely part of the show. And if suddenly I stopped hitting these goals for a long time or even a decent amount of time, that would really fuck me up, right? And so
Do you beg your viewers 100 times a day? Literally a
I
hundred times a day. Do you ask them for
well,
donations?
first off, I don't know that you're literally count. I mean, you'd
No,
have to
there
go
is
through
count.
it.
There's a whole
Okay, well, look,
channel
I
out
haven't
there.
seen that.
There's a
I haven't
there's a
seen
whole
that.
dude.
You're presenting
No, I
evidence
know. Yeah.
without presenting it, right?
Okay.
So
There,
do I
there's a
do it
channel
100
out
times a
there.
day? No, but probably about once an hour, once every 90 minutes, something like that. I'll
That's
remind
fine.
people, and
That's fine.
I have a goal
That's fine.
streak. I remind people, hey, we don't hit it today, the streak's over, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. First off, we got 2 guests today. We're going to cover a bunch of other stuff. I'm working hard to get other guests. Had a little bit of a rough year, I guess you could say. But, I feel like I'm providing content here. I don't make anybody give me money. But I don't think Phil makes anybody give him money. And he's also providing content. Now, you might not like that content. You may call it begging. You may say this, that, or the other. But is he really any
No one
worse than
refutes
anybody
that.
else?
Yes, he's way worse than everyone. You just said right now that you would beg, maybe you not beg, you would ask for contributions
See,
maybe
you're
once in a
slipping
while.
up. You're slipping
That's
up. Is
cool.
everybody begging? Because you take super chats.
No, yeah, you never hear me once bring it up or even ask about it. I get a
Oh,
donation,
but
I
you get
thank
them
them,
though.
and I move on. Oh
But
yeah, I do. Oh yeah, and I get plenty of ad revenue. I get super thanks. Oh
you
God,
get
yes.
ad revenue
I'm
off his
open.
content.
I get ad revenue.
You
Yes, I
make
do. I get
money
that
off
sweet
Phil's
ass ad
content. And by
revenue.
the way, how is
Yes,
this Phil's Raw streams not struck down? If that was me, I would have that channel
I don't
taken
know.
down. And I
Phil
would
chooses
call.
not to.
Well,
I
I
can't
know he
talk about.
chooses
I don't
not
know about
to,
Raw
but I
Phil.
would
Yeah.
have it taken down because it's not transformative in any way whatsoever. It's just a
Well,
straight rip of a
no,
stream. So,
that's an argument people you can have on that. There's
well, I
legal
would have it
precedent.
struck
I
down,
mean,
is what I would do. But
you
maybe he
could,
thinks
and
it's
then what would
maybe.
happen is it would be down for 2 weeks, and then they would counter, and it would be back up 2 weeks
So what?
later.
I just
So I
keep
mean,
doing that until
that's
they get
fine.
tired of
That's
it.
fine. I try to alter
Now
my content
Phil
enough,
maybe
but
thinks it's better
I
just
provide
for more people to
commentary.
see his stuff in general. I don't know his philosophy on that, but I know
He
people
just
have
doesn't
done
give a
that to
fuck.
me, and it didn't work out too well for them. The last guy that did it got his wife and his whole family doxxed, so probably wasn't a good idea for him. But that's kind of how I roll, and that's why when I sit here and I see the hate directed towards Phil, it's like it doesn't really make sense for me because to me he's he's playing soft with a lot of these people when he could be playing a lot harder. And in my opinion, maybe should be. Because all you motherfuckers are eating on, and I don't say motherfucker like in an insulting way. I say it
I
from the
know.
Memphis rap way, right? All you motherfuckers are eating great off Phil, and then he's getting his goals, bagging, whatever you want to call it. But somehow that's wrong. But you all make money off DSP content. Every single one of you people make money off his content. And if he stopped begging, quote unquote,
Dude,
tomorrow, you motherfuckers would
bro,
go hungry.
Ethan, excuse me. The same way he made content and I commentary and criticize him, he has that very right, the same right to do the same thing to me, and I'd be perfectly happy with that. It would be it's all good with me. I don't think my shit,
You see
smells
my
great or
argument though,
whatever.
right? You
No, but I mean, again, you're lumping everyone together. You're lumping the whole community, anyone that detracts in the DSP. You're saying that they're all doing it,
I
there's
mean, a guy
detractors
who
that
just
don't
run,
make
and
any
this is not
monetization.
you, but the Raw streams who just runs an actual full stream of Phil,
Yeah,
like with
yeah.
nothing added whatsoever, that guy should be taken off YouTube. There's nothing, he should DMCA him and should take him, and he should actually file. I'm sure Phil's got a little nest egg. You say it would be back up in 2 weeks, not if he actually took it to court. It wouldn't be, and that's what I would do if I was Phil and had a little extra money. And he may not, I don't know. But I would take that motherfucker to court and take him down. Now maybe Phil thinks it's just better for more people to see my content, and whatever. I'm not gonna do that, but that's the type of shit I would be doing, and I would compel YouTube for his docs, and we would be headed to court, and he would lose because it's an obvious DMCA violation.
Okay. I mean that's an argument to be had there, and that it's there's legal precedents either way. So I mean, but I'm not here to talk about
There's
raw
not. I
Phil.
mean, there's legal precedence if it's transformative. There's not
Okay.
legal precedence to just restream somebody's stream without doing anything. Like that's just
Uh,
straight stealing.
oh,
Now, if I was to turn
Phil,
on your
Phil,
stream or somebody else's stream and I'm commenting over it,
okay,
and I do that all the time, that's one thing.
that would
But
be fine. Yep.
but to just restream somebody's stream, I mean, I don't see anything. I don't see any loophole in the DMCA law for that. But I don't know. Maybe you do. But
There was a court case out there that said even putting an overlay over something is considered transformative. You can find tons of different court cases.
well, there's a lot of
Argue
courts
both
in the
sides. Yeah,
land, is
yeah,
all I'll
there's
say, and
there's
there's a
a,
lot of different
exactly.
opinions on this sort of thing.
So
But
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So you
I
can
bet
argue
Phil's
one
got more
point.
money than this guy. Let's just put it that way. And
Yeah,
you
well, no,
talk about.
Phil has no money. All of Phil's money is tied up in fucking WWE, WWE champions, and DoorDash. So
Okay, so
there's
you
really
say
no
that
money
a
there.
guy that can allegedly, and I don't even know if this is true, but from the leaks, can spend 10K. What they say, 10K a month on liquor. He can spend all this
Oh
money
no,
on WWE
no.
champions.
The WWE was a lot. The WWE
Do
came
you
out to
really think this is a
42,000
broke
and
guy? Is that not baller status actually? Where he's just like, yeah,
No,
fuck it, I'll
no,
spend 50K on a fucking game. I'm not
no.
saying he did or
He's not.
didn't. I'm just saying,
He can do whatever
could
he
you
wants
spend
with his
50K
money.
on a mobile game? I could not. I'm just telling you.
I could, but I wouldn't because I'm not a fucking idiot. I would never
But
spend
is it
any
idiot or is it just flex? Like, I mean, it's just
No,
like,
it's
yeah, I
an
do
idiot.
that.
It's a fucking idiot. I think everyone can agree here that spending 50K on a fucking mobile game is stupid and retarded. I hope everyone can agree with that. You
I
may
mean,
not
if you
like
really like
me.
the
I'm not
game,
talking your
I
side or
wouldn't do it
whatever.
personally. But I'm just saying, if it's a game I really like,
So
I
many fucking things you can be
and I
doing
had
with
50K that I
50K.
could just blow like that. I mean, you know, I've blown 50K on women and trips and
You got something
travels
out of
across
that.
the world. You know, I've blown 50K on shit
Something.
like that, but that was shit I
You
enjoyed.
you got
So
something out of it. You got something out of it.
yeah, I
What do you
did,
get
and
from a
drugs
mobile
and
game?
whores and women and trips. Like I
Or
said, yeah, I
what do
can
you get from a
museums and
mobile
all
game? You're
that.
getting sweaty JPEGs? Is that what you're getting? You're getting a bunch of sweaty digital JPEG.
Well,
And
it's
again,
not
if
even
that's
about
what he wants to spend
defending
his money,
like
knock
the
yourself the
actual
fuck out.
game. I've never played the game,
Mhm.
and I'm probably never will, right? But like, it's like, okay, he spent this money on a game. A lot of it just seems like jealousy to me, where it's like, oh, well, I couldn't drop 50. Well, I can't either, by the way, drop 50K on a game, but he can, and he still seems to be thriving. And so, what's the problem?
If you're talking about dropping 50K on like a car or a trip or something, all right,
But
I
who's
can
you
see
to?
your
It's his
argument there.
money.
Dropping it on fucking WWE champions, come on, brother.
But it's his money, though. What judge are you to
Yeah.
say how he spends his money?
Who's again, bro, Ethan, you make it sound like I'm sitting here on a high horse as a preacher preaching a sermon to this fucking gutter rat. I'm not doing that.
A
If
lot of
some
people are
people do
doing
that,
that, though.
okay. A lot of people. Duty streams isn't a lot of people. So that's all
But
I'm just saying.
the
I'm just
vast
saying
majority, I say,
lumping
oh, I can't
everyone
believe
up.
you spent all this on WWE
Lumping
champions. When
everyone up.
I think, wow, fuck, damn, this
Oh,
guy's balling. I mean,
he's a public figure that's on stream almost 8 to 9 hours a
now
day,
what would
six
it
days.
be if you were a public figure all of a
Content.
sudden and your face was out there and everybody knew where you lived, and they could pick apart every part of your life and they hacked into your bank account, and they came and paid a visit to your house? How do you think you would handle that?
I would probably handle it better than Phil did.
You think so?
Because
Because I think you would delete
I
fucking
know.
everything.
No,
That's
no,
what I
no,
think.
no, no, no.
I think you would
I
delete it
know.
all.
No, well, first of all, if I'm gonna put myself out there and be that content creator, that's one thing. I don't put myself out there. I'm not that
Oh,
kind
when
of
you put
content.
yourself on the field, you put yourself on the field. You're preaching the choir. But I'm saying most motherfuckers can't be on the field. And once they are on the field, they quickly leave the field, because they can't actually handle the heat that comes along with being on that field. I'm asking you if there were pictures of you and your family and wife, if you have one, extendo family, your address, pictures of your fucking house. They hacked into your bank records, allegedly. Do you think you could handle something like that the way Phil's been able to handle it and arguably thrive and continue for what, 17 years now, 16, 17 years?
If I'm gonna be honest, probably not. I would back away just for the simple fact that it's not worth it for me. Now, Phil's whole life is right, Phil, his whole life is avoiding any kind of work or getting a real fucking job. So that's kind of why he's willing to put up with all that. So if you're asking me,
Well,
no,
who wants a
it
real
wouldn't be.
job?
A lot of people have a real job. I've had a real job in my past. I've
No,
had
I mean,
plenty
I'm
of
not
real
saying
jobs.
there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm
Yeah.
saying if you can entertain, I always want to be an entertainer. I always want to be a writer. I still don't have the book out. That's true. I'm going to keep bothering myself every single day until I do. But I mean, and that's not to down people who have real jobs. Like, that's not what that means at all. But if you can get on YouTube or Rumble or wherever and entertain, and he's done it for damn near 20 years, what is the shame in that? Matter of fact, he should get a fucking award for being able to do that because not many people are able to do that.
Okay.
You said you had 3. He's got
I guess
17. Like I'm just saying, and I
I
got
disagree.
10, going on 11. So it's like, I
Dude,
understand
and
why
again,
a lot of it to me is just jealousy. Like these people wish
okay.
they could turn on a fucking stream, and not have to go clock into some cubicle fucking hellhole modernist, brutalist fucking building they have to walk into every day. And I don't blame them because I'd hate to
Yep.
have to do that. And that's why I do this for a living instead. So, and if one day it ended, it would end, right? But I think a lot of this, and it's not just with Phil, it's with a lot of other people too. It's just simple jealousy. Oh, he wasted this money or he did this and he doesn't understand his blessings and this and that. Well, I mean, who are you to judge, really? I guess is what I'm saying.
Who am I to judge? I'm
Yeah.
nobody to judge, but it's out there, and I make my judgment. Just the same way he can make a
So
judgment
you're
on me,
nobody to
and
judge, but you judge anyway.
exactly. What if he's out there on, so like I stated earlier, I put content out there and I'm open to criticism. He put content out there and he's open to criticism.
Streaming,
Is
you
that fair
understand,
enough?
is an actual
Is that
job
fair
too,
enough?
right? By the way, you
No,
understand, like
I
a
understand that.
full-time
And I
streamer
think
is a
no, no, no,
job. Now
no.
it's
Ethan,
a job in a way
we
that, you know,
we
it's entertainment, but
we already talked about that, and I said yes, it is a job, and I've already said that I don't begrudge film making a living. I don't begrudge you for making a living doing content creation. I don't begrudge anybody doing it. I don't tell people don't donate to this person for whatever reason. I think I've already said that and cleared that up.
yeah, okay. Well, I'm
You
just
agree?
saying, like
Okay.
and he's, you know, whatever you think of Phil, he seemed to work pretty hard on, you know, streaming. He puts out a
Well,
schedule every, you know,
Anita, I'm gonna
he's
be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm having a bit of a tough go because it feels like I need to defend the detractor community, and I'm not doing that. I'm not defending the detractor community. I like to defend myself and talk
yeah,
about
but
myself.
but they watch your
So,
show though, right? Like, I mean, it's like, and
bro,
I know you only speak for yourself, but like you seem to have some of
more
the
the
same.
DSP
Wait,
community,
hold on, one at
more
a
of the
time.
DSP
I'll
community
let you
probably hate
respond.
me more than they hate Phil.
I'll let you respond fully one at a
I
time.
got
But like, it seems like you have a lot of the same complaints and a lot of the same issues that they have, and they watch your show and they give you money, and it's like, what has Phil really done? And could any of them, and you just said you probably couldn't, could any of them handle the heat that Phil has taken or the heat that I've taken for that matter? But we're talking about Phil right now. Not many. Not many. I would say fewer than 0.01% could handle what he's handled over the last 15 plus years, and me over the past 10 years, 11 almost. So, you know, all these
I'm
people
willing to
sit back from
I'm
Anon
willing
accounts and you're
to say that.
Anon, and go ahead, respond.
No, I was gonna say I'm willing to give you that. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I mean, yeah, I mean, I know he himself compares himself to a roach, where there's the meme that he outlives everyone, and yeah, I mean that's all good. And to me, it's like keep going. Like I don't,
Well, yeah, because you're making
I
money off of him.
personally
Why would you
don't
want him to
feel-
stop? Yeah.
he's my entertainment. I say it all the time, dude. To Phil, I know you said you're in Mexico, right? So you're
I'm in
familiar with
Mexico. Yes, I'm in
you're
Mexico.
familiar with telenovelas are, right?
Yes.
Telenovelas. Yes, Phil's
Mexican
my
soap opera,
telenovela.
basically. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's what Phil is to me.
I'm very
He's just
familiar
my
with
soap
soap
opera.
operas in general as well. American soap operas too. Yeah.
That's what he is to me. He's just that. He's just simply that to me. He's just a fucking telenovela to me, honestly. And I think I've communicated that multiple times on my channel. Dude, I don't have this. I don't feel like there's this calling upon me to expose Phil and get rid of him. I always tell people, leave him the fuck alone. Don't fuck with his real life. I've said that shit on my channel multiple times. When people come in and start doxing him and shit like that, they get banned off my fucking chat. I tell people, don't do that shit on my channel. It's not welcomed here. So while yes, there are some in the community that despise him, that want to see him fucking dead and all this shit, I am not one of them. I am not
And
one
I've
of them.
not claimed
I'm
that
not one
you
of
are, by the way. But it's like a mixing of the. Like, I'm not saying you want him dead, but also you take up some of the same talking points, not of death, but of like. Of somebody who really hates him would take up too, right? Like he's did this, he's done that.
nah,
What
bro.
is so
Oh yeah, yeah.
fascinating
No, no,
about
no. Hold on, hold
Phil?
on, hold on. I highlight the shit he's done, but I don't call for his fucking death or what. I don't
No,
do
no,
any of
I've
that,
never
bro.
said that.
I
No,
want. Okay,
I
okay.
don't think.
I want you to be clear about
No,
that
I
because
don't. I've
I
never
don't do
said
any
that.
of that.
I've
Okay.
never heard you
Okay.
say that. I don't think you would. Haven't talked to you a little bit.
Okay.
So no, I don't think you would do that. But I see this guy in chat says no one's jealous of DSP. Well, clearly they are. And it's as clear as day. And it's not just him. It's a lot of people. But I guess Nady Base kind of hits on it. Why is it they are so obsessed with DSP? In particular, he seems like a pretty
You can
normal
say
guy. Is it because he's been around so long?
you can
Like
say
that's
dude, you
go
can
ahead.
say the same thing about Amber Lynn. You could say the same thing about
That shit's weird
fucking
too.
well, I understand Cyrax, but
I
everyone knows
barely
about
even know who
Cyrax.
Cyrax is.
Oh, you don't want to know. That's some cow shit there. That's
I
Peter.
know of his name and that's it. I
Yeah,
know
Boogie. I mean,
myself. People
Boogie
dehumanize
wins.
me on the daily, and use that excuse to try to dox me, try to fuck with my children, try to do whatever fucked up thing you could imagine. And they say, well, he's a lolcow. and I'm just here fucking with lolcow. Ralph needs to die.
Yeah.
And da da da. Okay, well, I mean, so yeah, I have a bit of kinship here for sure because these people couldn't last 5 minutes in my shoes or DSP shoes. I don't know about the big bitch's shoes, but like Amber or whatever the fuck her name is, but. These people really think they could hang and they would be tapping out, to use a wrestling term or an MMA term, if you will, very quickly if they had to face even 5% of what Phil has faced over the last 15 plus years. That's my opinion.
Okay. I mean, I can respect that opinion.
And you basically just admitted it earlier in this interview that you would probably quit if it came down to that.
Yeah, because I hold there are more important things to me than just fucking streaming and making
but maybe, you know what? Maybe it's important for him not to be driven off. And I'm not gonna say about the likes of you. I'll put you in a better category. How about that? But maybe it's important for him. Maybe it's the spite. Maybe I know spite very well. Maybe it's these motherfuckers are not gonna stop me. And I watch his content. Yeah, he gets salty here and there at a fan or whatever. But I would say for the most part, and he gets mad at a game or whatever. I don't really. For mostly it is positive content. Does he promote his goal a lot? I mean, yeah, I guess, but is that like evil? Like I don't know. I truly don't really. I never said it was evil. Well, no, I know, but some people do though, and I'm like, what's going on?
No, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, and I know that you have that element of every fucking group that no matter what he does, it's gonna have a bug up their ass. I understand that. I completely understand that. But something doesn't have to be evil for you to criticize it, does it? I mean, if someone exhibits low cow behavior, right?
See, that's a term that I just reject, by the way.
I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example.
Because I could just declare you a lolcow right now and start fucking with you every single day from now until the end of time. And I don't play like Phil, by the way. And I'm not threatening you. I'm just saying, if I decided to do that, there would be nothing you could do about it, right? And I would just say, you're a lolcow, and I can do whatever the fuck I want to you, right? Like, dude, how does that...
Ethan, can I give you the example that I wanted to put out?
Sure.
So I think you have this belief that for someone to be considered a lolcow or someone to be considered, for you to watch them and make fun or whatever, that they have to do something heinous. I don't agree with that. Like, why does every lolcow have to be a Cyrax or be, no? I mean, there are a category of people that are considered lolcows, that they do shit that normal people normally wouldn't do. And when you see it on stream, you point and you laugh. Right? Would you agree? Like, would you agree that
I just don't see the comedy in it though. Like, it's also it's literally like, oh, this guy. You talk about pocket watching, the gayest thing ever. Like, oh, he didn't hit his goal today. Oh, I hope he goes broken. Like, I mean, like, it's just the lowest form of entertainment, honestly, online. And who declares who's a lolcow? Like I said, I could just. It's a dehumanization tactic. And I could just declare anybody I want, somebody I want to fuck, and I have before, by the way, somebody I want to fuck with, and maybe it gets pretty nasty, and then all of a sudden they wish they didn't fuck with me, and then it's Big Bad Ralph. Oh my God, I can't believe he put out their address. I can't believe he did this and that. Well, yeah, I'm playing by the same rules you motherfuckers are playing by, and I'm not saying you specifically, but this whole at-large thing, right?
So I just want to put it out there and say that I'm not cool with anybody fucking with anyone's real life shit. That's just my stance on it. That's my personal stance. If you watch my content, I've never done that shit to Phil. Never called for it. I just like to watch the motherfucker and laugh at him. That's the extent of it. So, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I know that there is an element out there that wish him harm, that does some severe shit. And that's pretty much in every community.
Nettie Bake said, going to start an NGO to protect the civil rights of lolcows. Got to get this USAID grants. I mean, it really is just bizarre to me because, somebody, and it's usually Josh Moon and Kiwi Farms and all these weirdo freak trannies, quite frankly. Here, I'll let this go through.
Doll Wolf sent $1 on Rumble.
You can't hear it, I don't
People
think,
just like to declare someone non-human so they have an excuse to just fuck with them and say shit they'd never say to someone's face. It's a shield they hide behind.
People like to declare someone non-human. That's basically what you're saying when you say lolcow, in my opinion. So that they have an excuse just to fuck with them and say shit they'd never say to someone's face. It's a shield they hide behind. And that's kind of the point I was making. Like, what makes a lolcow? What if I just said... And I'm not saying this. I'm not trying to frighten you or say anything bad. I think you're nice for coming on. But like, what if I just said, hey, you know what? Doody's a lolcow now, and I'm gonna fuck with him, and I'm gonna find his Facebook, and I'm gonna find out where he lives, and you know what? He's a lolcow, right? He deserves it. And so I don't accept that terminology. I think it's just complete fuckery, in my opinion. Now I know why you use it because everybody else does. I try not to.
Exactly.
But so I'm not saying you invented this or like this is like your beat
exactly,
or whatever, right? Like I'm not saying
exactly
that.
it.
Yeah,
That's exactly it. Bro,
But
I'm telling you, Ethan, the vast majority of the DSP Vortex or whatever are normies and casual people that watch the content. That's really what it is. They see a guy, he does some weird shit, he blows up, people watch him, they watch clips, and they mock him, and they make fun of him, and they move the fuck on. Yes, you have elements that take it too fucking serious. I agree. There are. But again, I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak for what I do. Now, if I do something different, then okay, I should be
now
called out on the carpet for doing that. But I'm not. So.
I see Bump also, and again, I think he knows a little bit more about this than I do. Even he says he's not cool with people fucking with DSP IRL, but he'll cover it for sure for money. Now, is that true or is that untrue?
What do you mean cover?
Will you cover something like that on your stream?
If it shows up, yeah, I'll make it like a news thing or whatever, and I'll talk about it. But if you hear my content, I'll basically.
Now you didn't do it personally. It's like the people with the bank hack. Well, we didn't
no,
do it
no, no,
personally.
no.
We just combed over every single thing about it and made money on it. Right?
Well, that was before my time.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough.
But if it's something severe, I won't show any of the details. I'll basically say,
but
yeah,
you'll talk about it.
And I'll even say that's pretty fucked up. I mean, I have videos out there where shit happened to Phil, and I said, yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Like, you should leave the guy alone. Don't fuck with him. There was this one thing where some guy was following his went to the same supermarket or something like that, and he talked about he saw his wife and saw him, and he was gonna take some shit. And I was just like, okay. Like, I talked about it, and I said, all
well,
right,
first off, that's a great way to get arrested for stalking. So I would advise against that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, you know. So okay, I kind of agree with that. Yeah, if it's out there and it's news or whatever, and it usually happens because Phil talks about it. Like, a lot of the shit that comes about is Phil talking about it. I'll give you one prime example. Not too long ago, apparently he went food shopping. Apparently, I don't know, misplaced his cart or whatever, and he went on an hour-long rant about how someone stole his reusable bags. Right. Now, you might sit there and be like, "Oh, okay, that's stupid."
Yeah, but when you talk for so long every day, like, it's hard not to. Anyway, go ahead. I know.
No, I know. But you know, sitting there for an hour ranting about this, and then going into this whole conspiracy about, you know, the fucking workers and all that shit. It is some crazy shit to listen to. So of course, what are people gonna do? They're gonna clip it. They're gonna watch it. They're gonna do commentary and talk about it. Now, is that bad that someone would do that, or is it just someone pointing out someone's behavior and laughing at it?
And again,
there's no ill intent in there. There's no ill intent.
There's a lot of ill intent in there, but I'll have to. We'll just have to agree to disagree there. But I see Mizzy in chat now. He said you're being too soft, basically. And again, I don't know if any of this is true. What he's saying, I take it with a grain of salt. But he begged his audience to save his house. Come to find out, he spent $40K on a mobile game. Now that's an accusation out there. Well, that's an accusation that I haven't seen proof of, but I've heard people repeat that over and over and over again. I've heard people repeat lies about me over and over again. So
hold on. Phil has acknowledged many of these things.
Okay, well,
like the WWE champion. Wait. Let me. You know, you brought.
Well, we only have a few minutes, and we got to cram it in here. That's
okay. Real quick.
And I'll have you back if you want some time. I didn't really.
I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, I really didn't expect, and you knew I was going to challenge a lot of this. That was.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and that's perfectly fine, and I don't mind being challenged stuff like that, and I enjoyed the conversation.
But like,
oh, go ahead.
Okay, so say that happened, and I'm not saying that happened, but say it did. Okay, people still give him money. Why is he at fault? Like, I mean, okay, then I guess nobody should donate to him anymore if that's what happened. And like, nobody's putting a gun to people's head and making them give him money, right? And he's still playing his games. He's still doing what's the Level 1 podcast. He's, you know, I had fun on Smart Guys the other night. I don't know if that'll continue past that. Hopeful, maybe not. If not, I'm gonna do my own thing on wrestling, and you know, I think we had a pretty good teaming. But if it doesn't last past that, that's okay too.
You got any plans for that?
Huh?
You got any plans for that? Like if it
well, I
doesn't
mean, I'm
work
gonna
out.
do a wrestling show. Yeah. Now, the idea was to do it with him because I feel like that's the the big personality clash, right? The two well-known lightning rods, right? But yeah, I'm gonna do a wrestling show, and I hear Mr. Man said that wrestling show was great, and I thought so too. But yeah, I am gonna do something regardless, and I told him the same thing. It's not a secret. I've said this publicly, but I hope to continue with him regardless. I appreciate you being on. If you have one reason why Phil is so fascinating to you that you put 3 years, and it's another thing is I have a psycho. I won't call you a psycho because I feel like you're a little bit different. I watch some of your stuff. You're not quite as insane as this person, but like your content every day is Phil, right? And so
I used to do games every once in a while, but I kind of.
But some people would call that stalkerish.
Okay, I mean that's fine.
No, I'm asking. Would you agree with that? Would you agree that that is a slightly?
No.
Okay,
no.
what would you call it? Well, I mean, not physically stalking in real life, but like digital stalking, I guess you would say, right?
It's just entertainment, bro. To me, it's just entertainment. And if Phil were to go off tomorrow, I'd find something else to do, bro. I really would.
But do you think it's entertaining to somebody's had to face something like that? You know what I mean? Like, would it be entertaining if, like I said, you got doxxed and you were streaming, and I'm doxxed. People don't know where I'm at, thankfully, but and then people just decide to fuck with you every single day, like happens to me, by the way. And so I feel like there's this whole, divide from people who. Wait, let me say this, and then I'll let you get the last word. I'll let you get the last word. I feel like there's this whole divide between these people, these anons who think they could handle something like this when they know deep down they would be run off the internet and they would hide their head in shame and they would delete fucking everything, and they know that for a fact. And so that's my final thought there. And yeah, I do have some admiration for Phil for saying, fuck it. You know what? You're not running me off. I'm going to keep doing my thing. And I feel the same way about myself. So maybe that's why I see a little bit of that similarity. Now, you get the last word, and I got to get Lily in here.
No, I mean we could talk about it, whatever. But yeah, I appreciate.
We can talk about it. Well, hey, we can do a part 2 if you want. Like,
we'll talk. I'll hit you up. I'll hit you up after the.
But I hope you think you were treated fairly. I know I did.
No, you were good. I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, it was a good conversation. I mean, we disagree on a lot of things, but
yeah, true.
It's good to talk about it. I think having that dialogue is a good thing.
Yeah, but again, I hope you think you were treated fairly, and I did talk a little bit more than I normally do during these type of interviews because, like, I felt like I had to make that side, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm basically had to take up that other side because
you were good. I appreciated you. I didn't feel like you were being disrespectful. We had a good conversation. We clashed a little bit, and it's all good, brother.
All right, well, I appreciate it. And again, like I said, I feel like I had to be a little more adversarial than I normally would be because if I was...
No, that's okay, bro. All good. You got to make it entertainment, bro. I'm not that fucking entertaining, so we got to make it somehow entertaining.
Well, thank you, man. Promote your stuff.
Just Doody streams, man. If you watch my content, if you don't, you're not missing anything.
All right, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. And I'm
sorry
to Lily. Oh, my God.
I'll tell Lily I said I'm sorry.
All right, yeah, I'll blame you. Don't worry. Now,
there you go. All right, peace out.
Doody streams. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for watching this clip. This is Perspicacity. Remember to like and subscribe.